around me are weirdos' faces, snarky phrases, and strip mall spaces. I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The days I spend with Seymour are the best I've ever had. Everything is stupid, and everyone's so fake. So I troll my art teacher in circles. It's a very, very ghost world.
Welcome to the Nostalgia Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. My name is Luke Lone. I am joined by Chuck Starzinski.
Hello, hello.
And the great Taylor Diffenderfer.
Hey.
And we watched Ghost World.
Yeah.
2 comic book movies back to back.
And just to get it out of the way, our themed drink is celebratory champagne opened early.
Seymour doesn't need it. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
We do.
They were bound to break up. He was going to ruin that somehow.
Oh, jeez.
Taylor, what's your personal nostalgic experience to this film?
Oh, man. I loved this movie growing up. I watched it with my girlfriends when I was the perfect age to watch it. Like, I'm guessing like 12, 13. And it resonated with me so much. And a lot of this movie kind of still does, because I think about my life back then, and it just, I can still relate to so many different aspects of this movie. Just like kind of feeling like an outsider, and watching these girls who were the most relatable to me at that age. So it holds a special spot in my heart.
I was, I think, 24 when I finally saw it. I didn't see it when it came out. I saw it, actually, it was my first Netflix rental, like back when DVDs came in the mail. But yeah, I immediately connected with Enid. I mean, I've probably seen it 20 times. I've watched it over and over and over, and I connected with it deeply just because, yeah, I've never fit in anywhere. The movie itself and the comic book just speaks to that.
Much like Taylor, I also saw it when I was like 12 or 13, but yeah, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't get it. I was not self-aware enough for it. I was like, hey, it's like, these guys kind of suck. I don't understand how I'm supposed to relate to any of it. It's not like I'm like that. No, I'm totally fine. I'm great. I'm cool. But I revisited it when I was like probably 17 or so and liked it. Didn't truly come to appreciate it until I saw it like in my early 20s. And especially when I started actually reading Daniel Close's comic books and like Charles Burns and like these kind of more outsider guys. And I also really got into Todd Solondz, and this movie feels like a Todd Solondz movie.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, definitely a movie that I feel like I love it exponentially. Like every time I rewatch it, and the further removed I get from my actual teenage self, the more I love it and the more I empathize and can relate to Enid and Rebecca. And also, the older I get, the more I start to like empathize a little bit more with Seymour. Not like in a, I'm not going to defend Seymour at all, but the more I'm kind of like, oh yeah, he's just a guy. He's just a sad guy trying to get by, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some quotes by Seymour that I'll get to that I'm like, yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
The opening of the film is very nostalgic for me. The dance bit, yeah, I can't help but dance to the music. And
yes.
I had to look up the song itself, and I've watched the music video 1,000 times.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
This
Infectious.
opening scene, exact. I feel the same way. Like the moment this movie starts and you hear the music, it's just like it all comes rushing back, and you're like, yes! It's just such a great way to start the film.
Oh, yeah. Slowly tracking through the apartment complex, and you get to see everybody. It's like that little slice of every single neighbor's life, basically. And then you finally land on her. And it's also awesome because you get to see who she truly is deep down. So you get to empathize with her a little bit more because she's actually got her guard down at the very beginning. She's actually dancing and having fun and just kind of letting loose and being herself.
Yeah, and I empathize with everybody they went by too.
Exactly.
The woman smoking out the window.
Dude, yeah.
The guy picking his fingers.
The world building in those few seconds.
Oh, it's so good. Chuck, you've read the comics a little bit, right?
I've read a bunch of Close's comic books and a bunch of stuff that they reference in this, but I haven't read this chunk of 8-Ball. I actually haven't read Ghost World.
Okay. Taylor?
No, I never read the comics. I actually downloaded a PDF just to kind of skim through, but when I knew that we were going to do this podcast, and now I'm I want
did
to
more work
read.
than I did, so
I was so curious, you know,
Sure.
and I had heard that it's more about the relationship between Enid and Rebecca, and that's what grabs me in this movie, and I
Sure.
want more of that in this movie. So I was told to read the comics because that's what it focuses on. So I think I might continue reading it after this.
sure. I was going to ask. I was curious how close it is to the comic books.
There are some things like, well, because I only started reading the beginning, but one thing that they really nailed in the movie is the goth couple in the diner.
The Satanists.
They look just like it's like they literally took them out of the comic book and put them in the movie.
Nice.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
That was apparently supposed to be Anton LaVey.
It looks like Anton
It does look
LaVey.
like Anton, yeah, a lot. They got a really good double.
They did.
I don't know if it would have been weirder. I don't know, because like Anton was this huge deal
Yeah.
as like the head priest of the Satanic Church, and I don't know, to like put him in a bit part in a movie might have lowered his stature.
Yeah.
He was kind of flamboyant himself too. I don't know if he would have allowed himself to be
Exactly.
not have a line in the movie.
Or at least just like have such a bit part. Like,
Yeah.
I think, because the goth couple don't really speak or anything like that. They're just, there to be observed by the shitty teenagers.
I mean, I would like to see Anton LaVey all in pink.
Right.
I mean, that would be fun, but I like the lookalike. I think that.
Oh, for sure. They did a great job.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. When I read that bit of trivia, I was like, that makes sense.
The graduation scene and the dance.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
a
so
good
good.
contrast. I noticed that today just watching it again. There's like this huge, great dance scene opening, and then it's dead.
Yeah. No, I love the car crash valedictorian.
Yes.
She is like, giving her speech and just, it's like as if she's turned this beautiful new leaf. And I love the hard cut to like, and when they're at the dance, she's sitting there and there's like some like football player guy like helping her get a hit of her hip
Flash. Yeah. Like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. There's like her speech and then like panning over to Enid and like Rebecca just like rolling their eyes. Like, it's so good.
Oh, dude, this movie perfectly captures like teenage misanthropy, like so well, like so unbelievably well. Like, I definitely didn't model it after, but definitely like there's a scene in this movie that I was like, oh, I did that. The second that, they graduate and they're allowed to like throw their caps, basically.
Yeah.
They both stomp their caps and flip the school off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, I remember doing that at my graduation.
Yeah.
I did like pull it off and like stomp it and like, good, we're done.
Couldn't wait to
It's
get
over.
out of there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember it being a very weird, antiquated experience, sitting down through one more forced assembly to graduate. Yeah, they captured it perfectly.
And then like the dance, them swaying, I remember that. Like just like in unison swaying to this like ridiculous music. And Enid, like they're so like sarcastic and just like, fuck this place. Can't wait to get out of here. And then Enid has that moment where she's like, oh, just think about it. We're never going to see, I forget his name, but like that weird kid
You've
eating the
already
cake.
forgotten
Yeah. Like, she's like, no, really, it's kind of sad. And like,
Yeah.
there are still those moments, even if you're just like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this movie captures that perfectly. That just sort of like that very teenage, not letting your guard down and then like you let it down for a millisecond, and then all of a sudden it's like no, I was being ironic. I was kidding. It's totally fine. Yeah. Oh my god. Speaking of things that perfectly encapsulates it, also it's like that post high school malaise and sense of ennui of just like, yeah, okay, what's next? Probably not going to go to college. Do I want to just dive head first into a dead-end job that I'm going to hate?
Right.
I guess I should move in with my best friend because that's what people do. People, can't live with their parents forever, so they move in with people they know. Do I want to live with this person? I don't know. I'm just going to do it.
What planet do these people live on where they can afford their own place out of high school?
That's true. Probably the planet of like 2001,
Right.
in like the middle of the country.
Yeah.
Yes, right at the end. Of
2001 in Iowa. It's like, oh yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, you
The
can
end of
just
the
get a
golden
job at a
era.
coffee shop and start renting right away.
Jeez.
I don't know. And they seem like they're fairly well off. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that they would.
They're not worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've definitely got that like middle to upper class kind of vibe going the whole movie.
They've been planning this, right? They're like, we're not going to college. We're going to move in together. It's going to be great. And Rebecca is like on that track. She's like ready for this. You know, she gets a job. She wants Enid to take it seriously. And I relate to that, but I also relate to Enid just being like, wait a second, is this what I really want to do? Like,
Yeah.
shit.
That feeling of uncertainty and, you know, not knowing your purpose in life and stuff like that. So it's even as something as simple as just like, yeah, just, I don't know, sign a year lease. It's going to be fine. But as a, you know, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, when you're graduating from high school, you're like, oh, this is it. I'm like locking myself away for an entire year. I'm throwing my life away. What if I don't know if I'm going to like Rebecca in a year. I don't know, you know, What if I've been wanting to get out of this town my entire life and I'm just going to stay here and commit for an entire year?
Well, apparently Rebecca can handle the rent on her own. So
Exactly.
I know.
It's not that high of a stake.
Yeah, Rebecca's got her shit together, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie made me nostalgic for so many things. I know I could probably do it still as an adult, but it's not as fun. I miss reading misconnections on Craigslist.
Oh my God, yes.
And also, why does every teenager go through a catfishing phase?
Yeah.
Or at least like every teenager of this era? Like, I don't know. I just remember, you know, being a kid and one of the first online experiences I ever had was just like me and a buddy sitting down. I'm like, okay, we're gonna fire up like instant messenger. We're gonna go into this like chat kind of thing. And it was never like, hi, I am so and so. I live in California and I am 13 years old. Da, da, da. It's always like, hey, I'm Montel. I'm 37. And South Carolina is just dandy.
Wait, that was you?
Yeah, it was.
You're Montel?
Also, South Carolina is just dandy.
South Carolina is dandy.
The side characters in this movie, Enid and Rebecca, and we'll get to poor Seymour shortly, but like I could just watch a whole movie of the background characters and the bit parts. Like anyone who gets a speaking line of either 10 sentences or less, my favorite character in the entire movie.
Sure.
Like I love when they roll into the diner and they meet
Weird Al.
Weird Al. This is my favorite one of my favorite introductions ever. It's got stringy hair and stuff. It's like, oh, hey, it's Al. Can we call you Weird Al? And then he pauses and he's like, I'd imagine so.
I'd imagine so.
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Like, I want to know Al's backstory.
I love Al.
I feel like I probably don't, but yeah.
Well, he enjoys his job. Later in the movie, he's rocking out
Yeah, he is.
back in the line. So
Yeah.
He's having a great time.
I mean, you know, mullet guy. Does he have a name?
Mullet guy?
Doug.
Doug?
Doug,
Yeah,
yeah.
Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Wow.
haven't done Dave Sheridan as the actor.
Which also, that
Wow.
guy, Dave Sheridan, auditioned with a mullet.
Yes.
That's how he got the part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He wasn't supposed to have lines, but the directors loved him. And then after this movie, I don't know if either of you saw it, but he was in a Red Hot Chili Peppers video.
Really?
Oh, is he in the
He's the taxi driver for one of...
Standing in around, I'll say the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
completely based on this role in the movie. So that's how he got that.
I mean, he's talk about memorable moments that I've never forgotten him.
It's America,
He's just,
dude. Learn the rules.
Yeah.
He's incredible. I've known several Dougs in my life.
The art teacher for me.
Yeah.
I rewatched it again today, and the way she introduces herself is to show her student film.
Yes.
Mirror, Father, Mirror.
Father. Yeah.
Can we talk about Mirror,
Please,
Father,
I want to see this
Mirror?
movie. I want to see the entire thing.
I think we did. I think what we saw is pretty much the whole movie on loop. That's my theory. I don't know if there's much more than dolls, like parts of dolls getting thrown in a toilet, you know?
Dude, I fucking love Alana Douglas.
She is perfect. Oh, so Mirror, Father, Mirror. So her name in the movie is Roberta Ellsworth. Okay, she shows this film to the class, which is her film. And she says, I like to show this. She says, I like to show it to people I'm meeting for the first time. Which is just so telling. Like, you know exactly who she is the moment you meet this art teacher. And I actually paused the movie last night and wrote this down. It's Mirror, Father, Mirror by Roberta Ellsworth. And it says, this film was made possible by generous donations from the Federation for the Advancement of Mature Women in the Arts, the Struggling Artist Foundation, the Why Not Me Project, and Dr. Dr. and Mrs. Theodore Ellsworth.
That's awesome. And that was like the title screen.
That was the title screen I never noticed before.
Yeah, me neither. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's perfect. It's really good.
No, she's fucking great. Dude, Daniel Close hates art school with a burning passion. There's a whole other film that he ends up actually coming out with, the whole Art School Confidential. Haven't read Ghost World, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but like a lot of stuff they kind of just cherry pick, because I'm sure they didn't think that they were ever going to make Art School Confidential.
Right.
So there's a lot of cherry pick stuff like that out of there, but
I didn't take, like, I wasn't in an arts class like that, like a visual arts class, but I had a lot of friends that were, all my friends were in these classes that the way they talked about it, and whenever I'd go in there to visit them, it was like this class.
Oh, wow.
Like, I feel like it was very similar.
I feel like I was cheated as a child because I wasn't allowed to take art. So I never got to experience this.
Wow.
So I'm curious, like, was this a real representation or?
there's no tampon in a teacup for you?
No.
This is what you're missing.
Yeah, I guess so, right? This is an Art School Confidential.
I mean, it's obviously like to an extreme. Like, she's just such a terrible art teacher, you know. Like, she's awful. I mean, you know, she's looking at Enid's.
What's a good art teacher though?
Someone who's not going to be like, oh, that's a nice drawing with no substance. Look at this, everybody.
She called them cartoons. Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I'm sure there are art teachers that are like that, just not as like obvious as she was, you know?
A little more tact.
Yeah. I feel like they always have their favorite, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. There's just some of us that are more gifted than others.
And the behind the scenes interview I saw with her, she kind of walked into the project not knowing what it was. So she kind of like, I think, embellished in her own way. She got the chance to be the thing she pictured and wanted. She stole the picture for me, like completely different movie. This art class is a completely different movie from everything else that happens in Ghost World. So I just loved it.
She's like putting on these airs. And then I love in the scene in the actual art show, where she's talking to, she must own the place, and she's just, you can tell her, she just hates this woman. And like, she's just like, oh, look at this and that. And then she sees her and she's like, oh, hey, like this bitch.
I have to display this racist caricature from a chicken shop because, not to jump ahead, but just staying on the art teacher. Like, I do love that Enid's just like, oh, like, wait a minute. None of my actual artistic endeavors are real or matter to this woman. Like, I'll just grab this random thing and, you know.
To be pretentious on purpose.
Exactly.
Almost,
Just tack on a
wins.
story at the end of the day, and that's all that. And it's kind of the same thing with, I don't know, that's kind of the art world in general.
Yeah.
Is just like, it's not the piece of art, it is the story behind it.
Yeah, Enid's totally working her. She knows that this is going to get her in, you know?
And what I noticed today, too, watching it again, she actually has like this eyeball rivalry with the other woman in her class. And it's like the teacher's obviously favoring this other woman, and there's this whole subtext just with eyes, just with them glaring at each other, like who's winning the attention from the teacher. I didn't take Enid to care that much, but she like totally.
She does care. That's what's so relatable about Enid, is that she acts like she doesn't care, but she fucking cares. You know, like when she dyes her hair green. So that's one of my moments, but like she dyes her hair green, I think after she's talking to Rebecca, and Rebecca's like, let's just look nice.
We have to look preppy in order to get.
And so it's like, fuck that, dye my hair green. And then
no time in between, just straight cut in the movie to the green.
Boom, which was great. Yeah. And then she dyes it back to black after, like,
she gets razzed by one.
Who she fucking hates, but he's just like, punk's not a thing anymore. And she's just like,
punk rock's over.
Yeah. You know, and she's just like, it's a 1977 punk rock look, you know. And Rebecca's like, yeah, I didn't get it either. And she immediately dyes it back to black. She's like, like she can't hack it, you know. Like these things do affect her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's definitely super, you know, it's just that teenage thing of being super freaking insecure. Yeah. And then it's like, if anyone calls you on your shit, you have to lash out too. That's the whole 1970s thing. It's like, well, obviously you're the fucking idiot, because if you had done any kind of research, you would know that this is actually like, it's retro chic. It's not punk. It's.
Yeah. And when she does dye her hair back, that's the moment she discovers the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very pivotal point. I identified with that a lot in this film.
Me too.
And after watching this film, I kind of started looking for more obscure music myself.
Yeah.
And it led to this whole lifestyle of listening to the weird stuff that nobody knew about. So
Totally. I mean, oh, man, I just relate to Enid so much. But like, she's listening to the Buzzcocks, which I love, and I was listening to at that same time that I watched this movie. And then I also like had a phase where I was getting really, really into blues and obscure blues, and I loved Skip James. And that song in the movie is a song I fucking love, and like, it makes sense. Like her, like turning off the Buzzcocks, putting on this record, that song plays and it just like grabs her instantly. And it's like, yes, I've been there. I know that feeling, you know?
Hell yeah.
It's also probably and that's that moment that kind of lets her relate more to Seymour and not see him as just this mean joke that we're going to pull on this poor dude. She has that moment of like letting her guard down, listening to this blues song, which, you know, probably wasn't her thing prior. It's like, oh, and like seeing someone else's side for just 1 second. And also seeing what it's like when it's like, because Seymour's, you know, a huge dork. And it's like, oh, this guy is a huge dork. Doesn't care that he's a huge dork. He likes what he likes and wears what he likes on his sleeve.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, this is.
I see the appeal.
Oh, yeah.
With Seymour, like, and Enid. There's more to this relationship I'd like to get into.
Sure.
He's not just a dork. He's a fucking, like, he's an outsider.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo,
absolutely.
just like her. You know, he's interested in things that other people aren't interested in. And that's Enid too, you know? So, like, I can see how she's really relating to Seymour and, like, getting into, you know, when she goes into his record room at the party and she's like, this is my dream room, you know?
I would have followed Steve Buscemi into a weird room like that. For
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Great casting.
So good.
Yeah.
Really good casting with Steve Buscemi, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Either read it or listened to somebody talk about it. He was kind of bummed about being this character. He felt less cool. So like as soon as they wrapped, he would change into like street clothes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like it brought him down to be Seymour.
Or maybe even like, yeah, it brought him down, but maybe not necessarily. I mean, I don't know if it was, I can't speak for Buscemi, you know, but it could even just be that he's taking the role into as just like, it's like this guy who can't move on, can't let go,
Right.
stays hyper fixated and focused and just kind of like shuts the world out. Like many things, you know, only the true pure love of a child can no, I know. But I think maybe that's what he's like, washing off, because that's pretty fucking icky.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's like, I don't want people to be like, hey, Seymour, when this movie comes out. It's like, no, I'm going to change into my super cool Steve Buscemi street clothes and be super cool Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up is fucking tough. Like, Rebecca's slowly outgrowing Enid.
Yeah.
Like, that arc is so fucking good. It's so heartbreakingly relatable, too.
And that's why I wish there was more of that in the movie. I wish there was more Rebecca in this movie because I love their relationship. I have been in a very similar relationship where, like, not quite the same, but I felt like the Rebecca to the Enid, and sometimes the Enid to the Rebecca. Like, I've been in all those relationships, and especially like having female relationships are not portrayed like this in film. Like,
Much
this
agreed,
was like super relatable for me, and I think that's why this movie really pulled me in, because it's always like, oh, we're best friends and we've known each other forever and nothing could go wrong. It's like, no, that's not how it is. Like, you grow apart sometimes and it's fucking heartbreaking. And watching that happen between these two friends is hard, but it's real.
Oh, it's so real, yeah.
Yeah. The scene when they kind of have their fight and, you know, they're both like, I mean, Rebecca's like in the right. She's just like, you're shitting all over everything. And like, you've ignored me since high school. And Enid's being defensive, you know, and she's just like, you're delusional. And afterwards you see Enid just sobbing in her bed. She knows that she was wrong to it, but she also like, you know, she's kind of speaking her truth at the same time. Like, I just like, my heart was breaking for her. I was like, oh girl, I get it.
Yep.
And then her freaking dad comes in.
Enid's that, like, I see both sides of the coin, but it's like Enid's definitely that very toxic friend that is like, if they're going to have a bad day, you're definitely going to have a bad day as well. And if they're feeling kind of, you know, in a rut or stuck in their life, then it's like, oh, the fact that you're growing or changing anything about yourself is seen as a negative trait and just,
Sure.
completely just steamrolled over basically by it's like, oh, well, it's like, I guess we're not friends anymore.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? No, I'm working. I'm working towards a goal that you said we were both chasing.
And you're wearing a Catwoman mask.
Yeah, exactly. You're spending potential rent money on like a vintage BDSM Catwoman mask. Yeah.
Well, and that's like, yeah, that you like, there are so many like little moments, like even though Rebecca's not in the movie very much, like I think the movie does a good job at like putting in these moments where you understand why they're growing apart. And like that moment when she goes to the sex shop without Rebecca, that's a fucking betrayal, man.
Yeah.
Rebecca is upset about that. And I would be too. I've had so many moments like that where I'm like, oh, you did this thing we've always wanted to do together without me. Like, fuck.
You don't think that I myself haven't had, the opportunity? It's a sex shop. We're both 18. We can go to a sex shop. You think that I didn't go because I was grossed out? No. I didn't go because I was waiting for you, my guy. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. That whole moment is weird because like she's like asking Seymour to take her because they haven't found a boy to take, which I kind of get. They're still young and like they don't want to go in just by themselves. I'm
a grown man. I don't like going into those places. Like,
no, it's also
it is a bunch of creeps. It's like there's a guy at the desk eating a sandwich. For some fucking reason. Very, very weird place to have lunch in front of customers in a tank top. I don't get it.
Hey man, are you gonna just put up the be back in 5 sign in that store? I don't think so. I think you got to man the desk the entire time.
You know what? I guess so. There's a duty involved. Maybe I can respect that.
Exactly, but no, I remember the novelty of that thing of like, oh, we're gonna go to a quote unquote porno store. Right. That's crazy. It's very fun watching them, and I mean this in the most PC way possible because I realize doing that little voice of going to a porno store isn't the easiest transition, but it is fun watching it's good seeing scenes like that because it does help reiterate the fact that they are literal children becoming adults.
Right.
And so you have that kind of very childish approach to something as mundane as a sex shop, or, as quote unquote taboo as a sex shop. She's just, a couple of years of jaded adult day in, day out life of like, it's porno store. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can go in. I don't have to. But also they really capture that too, like of just that sheer boredom that you have as a teenager. Like the whole reason that they fuck with Seymour to begin with and follow through with the personal ad and all of that is because it's just like, when you're a kid, you're not allowed to do anything. So you're just like, okay, well, now they can finally go into this adult store, but it's like, I don't know, maybe like 2 months ago, I couldn't even do something as mundane as that. Neither of them have a vehicle that we see in the movie, at least. They get rides from Josh everywhere. So it's just like, can't drive, can't dull my senses by any means with like alcohol or anything like that. Can't leave this town, can't torture a middle-aged dude. Yeah. What else are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah. Like follow the goth couple, like find out where they're going, like bother Josh at work who like is annoyed but just goes along with it, I
love Josh too.
I love Josh.
He reminds me of so many people I knew growing up too. It's like, I mean, we ended up becoming friends, but never ever started out as my friend. They were always like these tag-along acquaintances that I knew in my teens and early 20s where it was just like, I need to go to the mall or I need to go to Target like with you, run an errand. And then it's like, why is Troy here? He didn't have anything to do. And then Troy's there and he doesn't want to go to the mall or go to Target or like go to the park or any of that, but he just does it because it's like, I don't know, we're 16. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like, of course I'm going to hang out with you and tag along to the mall, even though it's fucking terrible.
Even though I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Of course I'm going to give you a ride to the creepy audiophile hangout party, which, kids shouldn't go to audiophile parties, man. That was...
It's pretty clear from the beginning. Yeah.
It was so fun. I also don't remember David Cross being in this at all.
Right?
Yeah.
It's good. Let alone playing like
to see him being a
creep. Yeah.
Oh my God. Him hitting on Rebecca is so gross because she's clearly a child.
Yeah, exactly.
And he knows that it's just, yuck. And then Enid fucking leaves her on the couch.
I know.
Like, bad friend move.
Also very relatable though as like bad friend move because I've definitely experienced that and seen that too where it's like, This is one of the most uncomfortable things I think I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Why are you? No. Why are you going to the kitchen?
Yeah.
Come back. That's also a fun quote that I have from where Seymour is in the kitchen, speaking to the kitchen, and he's talking to some dude who's perusing his records. And he's like, well, I can't buy that because it has an enlarged hole here. Also, do you see these tight cracks?
Yeah.
And then Enid just like skates up like almost borderline sitcom. She's like, what's about these, what's going on with these enlarged holes and tight cracks, huh?
She's witty. She's very funny. I really love Enid.
Mm-hmm. We got some cameos. Speaking of David Cross, we got Matt Doherty, video store employee.
Yes.
Kid from the Mighty Ducks.
Oh.
He's also Heed in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Okay.
He actually has a line in the movie. Says, is there anything I can interest you ladies in?
Oh, okay.
That's him. He's got one line. He's in the back. And then Bob Balaban is the dad.
Oh,
He's so good.
really great casting.
I don't know if it's written in the comic book this way, but that is the most ineffectual father writing I've ever seen, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
That is...
He's almost like afraid of his own daughter, you know?
They do not communicate at all, even though they talk to each other. I don't know I don't know what happened to her mom, but like that's the relationship they have, is they hate each other. They don't care enough to say it.
Yeah. I don't know if like hate is the right word, but it's just like he is not equipped to raise this like teenage girl who's going through all this shit. Like he's just like, my favorite scene is he walks in, goes, and he just walks out, just mumbling, you know, like soft spoken, like, "Hey, honey," and she's just like, "Ugh."
But he's in a lot of Wes Anderson films, and he's just been around.
Yeah, he's someone I recognize from a lot of movies, but I can't tell you from what.
Yeah, he does a really good blending in the background.
Best in Show.
Yes, Best in Show. That troop as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Maxine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, speaking of just ineffectual, like,
yeah,
I know you're going through a lot, and a change in our household would really probably shatter your entire world.
Right?
But, you remember Maxine?
Ugh. Yeah, that whole also pretty relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had.
She's great too.
I love Terry Garr. Yeah, we're gonna do Mr. Mom. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't.
Okay, you've seen it, right?
Like ages ago.
Yeah,
I need like a refresher.
Well, that's what the show's about.
I know exactly.
But yeah, no, she's great in that. So Mr. Mom. I'll explain it just a little bit. It's what's his name? Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton and Terry Garr. They're in a normal nuclear family, but then Michael Keaton loses his job, but Terry Garr gets a better job. So he becomes the mom of the house, and he's like,
that sounds like fun.
It is. It's a fun movie. I'm really anxious
too.
to watch it again because I haven't seen it. Like Chuck, I've probably since the 80s.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
No, I haven't watched it since I was a small child. And also, it's one of those that I get confused with something that I've seen 100 times. Mr. Mom, I always confuse with Mr. Nanny.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the Hulk Hogan.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a double feature and have them duke it out. Like,
oh, my God.
See which one's better.
We can do a whole season of... hey, you know this guy? Like, wouldn't it be funny if we just threw him in a room full of children?
Let's put this professional wrestler in a tutu.
Exactly.
See what it looks
Let's
like.
put these two twin bodybuilders together. Like, they'll watch kids. Vin Diesel's between gigs right now? Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Make him the pacifier.
But Terry Garr in this, very short. I remember her being in this much more.
Short but effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
she's a fantastic actor. She was great. I mean, everything she's been in.
I love her. I love her in everything. Yeah. Just that moment of her like eating, being like, well, you know, I don't know the line, but she's just like, I can't help but feel like I had an influence on the way you turned out. And it's just like, this bitch.
She also is, really good at sticking the knife in with the whole, like, again, touching on that, okay, like, so I graduated high school, what's next? Do I want to go to art school? No, that seems expensive and pretentious and yada yada. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And it's just like, oh, sweetheart, I haven't seen you since you were a little girl. And you're so grown up now. You're out of high school. You must be so excited to be doing everything with your life right now. Yeah, things are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a child of divorced parents, having new possible mothers and fathers walk into the scene, I related to that very well. You realize that they're adults and they're friends, but you don't want them to be part of their family.
Hey, someone replacing a parent, like potentially. But it's also just that thing of like the rougher one is like the B side of the coin of just like seeing your parents or like guardians as like, oh, these are human beings.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's like this person's kind of shitty. But you know what? Like my parent or guardian is like, they're just trying to get by. They're lonely just like everybody else.
Right.
So it's like maybe they can't see everybody's flaws or whatnot. And just, having to, or just like, oh, like maybe they're not the god I've always made them out to be in my mind. Maybe it's like, oh, maybe they deserve Maxine. Like
she does a really good job of
Oh,
coming off as gross in this movie, I think.
Oh, everyone does. Oh my God. Everyone is so fucking good in this movie. And not to break away from Maxine, we can get back on her, but
I'm done.
I think we've said it.
I gotta talk about him. He's one of my favorite bit characters in the entire movie. The fucking wheelchair bound coffee customer.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
He is so fucking good. Oh, I was just gonna say, he is actually like little trivia kind of thing. He is his own comic. So like, again, because they were just kind of shoehorning some David Close like little short stories and stuff in there because they're like, I don't know if we're gonna get to make another one of these ever again.
Yeah.
But he has his own little bit. I think it's only like 2 pages or so. But it's called Feldman, and because he's Feldman, it's just like a day in the life of Feldman, basically, and it is exactly this scene. Like it's just
Oh my God.
like I love the idea of just like coming up to the coffee shop that you come to every day. I just love the entire interaction so much. Like I love Rebecca just seeing him and readying the free coffee
Just going
because
through
she
the
knows
motions.
what's about to happen, and then he rolls up and he's like, excuse me, I can't see the trivia.
Ugh.
And then reads it and then cheats on his laptop. Cheating on free trivia is just like one of the most pathetic, like below a sin things you could fucking do
Totally.
on planet Earth. Yep. Let alone, it's probably one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen committed to film.
Yeah.
That's so good. I also love the question. Like, he just types it and then he's like, oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's, I have the quote because it makes me die laughing every time. I know where that is. Slightly below the uterus. On a female. he pauses and then and it's also like, it's icky all over because it's like, yeah.
Oh, okay, so that does kind of transition to one nitpick a bit I have about this movie. And I don't know if this is like dated or whatnot, and it's kind of, they pull it off a little bit because you just hate this guy. He's such a, anyways. Rebecca's whole comment after the fact of like, oh yeah, he doesn't even need that wheelchair. He's just like faking it, which is like, it's such an ableist thing to say. It is actually hurtful and like does not age well for me, even though like she could be totally fucking right and I wouldn't put it past this guy. Like it kind of fits. Like I'm not even that mad about it, but I just like, it hit me. It's something I never thought about until the rewatch. And I was like, ooh, like, all right, maybe not,
Yeah, all the like kind of more cancel-y stuff in this movie, like the ableism there with that. There's the whole, it's very early 2000s, like you're gay culture.
Totally, yeah.
And then there's also like a bit where the asshole who basically gets Enid to re-dye her hair by calling her out for not being punk. Like he's constantly picking on her for being Jewish too.
Yeah, and that's in the comic books.
Yeah, exactly.
too.
That's what I was gonna say is like I feel like a lot of it is like, not to defend any of that, but I feel like a lot of it is just like it's in the comics but not in a fun way. It's in the comics as like more of a slice of life, like, yeah, like this is just what this is
totally
what happens. Like people are gonna pick on you for being overweight in a wheelchair and comment that you don't need it and stuff like that. And then also the whole everything that they say too that is shitty or backbiting or anything like that, it just helps really make them feel teenage more than anything too. Like I'm like, like there's the whole bit where they go to hang out with Josh and he's not home, and so they write like this whole like, hey dude, like we're two hot sexy ladies who came here to totally fuck your brains out, but I guess you're like fucking gay, dude, so you're not home, do kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, that's just what a 16-year-old would do.
It's true though. Like I'm not even mad about it because like like I just want to acknowledge it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
But like
sure.
the ableist and like the homophobic like language, like it's not meant to be hurtful, and it's shit that I think we've all fucking said when we were kids because we didn't know, but it's like it's still relatable because it's like, yeah, that's how these fucking kids would talk.
Yeah,
The word I wrote down is juvenile. This is like a very juvenile
Oh yeah.
sense of humor, and
Yeah.
it's like almost, I don't want to say innocent, but that's like a perfect representation of a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast. Looking back at these old movies, the things we used to laugh at, the things we used to just say without flinching.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a perfect representation of the age you're supposed to do that.
Exactly.
Right.
I think, yeah, and like I think that's what makes like any rough part in this movie a little easier pill to swallow, is that it's like, okay, yeah, these are kids
Right.
going through this, whereas it's like touching back on like Rush Hour as like the problem I had with like all the Asian hate stuff with Chris Tucker. It's like Chris Tucker's like 30 when he made that movie, so he knows better. Even if it was like a quote unquote different time, like he's fucking 30.
Yeah.
Would this be a good time to talk about the cook's chicken painting?
Yeah, as long as we're on it.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, just because we're kind of veering on that
That's
subject. And
one of the proudest things I have about this movie, like that it brought it up, that it used it.
interesting. I feel a different way about it. I feel like it's not the right group of I don't know what statement they were really trying to make and how effective it was. And I don't think if they were trying to make an anti-racist statement with this bit in the film, I don't think it was effective. And I don't think they're the right people to be doing it.
Okay.
And like the one, I don't even want to hesitate to call her a character because she's just like the token like black student in the art class.
Right.
Like the one thing she has to say is, "It's not right."
Yeah.
And it's like, really? That's it?
Not very giving her a chance to say something.
And
yeah.
like I don't think it's egregious, but like it just doesn't fully age well for me. It's like, like this isn't the right group of people to be trying to make this very vague statement.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
The thing I said proud, but like the thing I like about it is that it's historically accurate, and it exists for real outside of this film.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it was like they didn't just make it up for the movie. If they did that, I would totally be on your side.
Oh, that's what. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is something that should be called out. It is, whether or not they did it artfully or well, it is up to opinion. But they did it. I don't know. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of people calling out old racism.
Yeah, and like it works too because Enid is so like she doesn't really care. She doesn't care that she's making a fucking statement.
She stumbled into it.
Yeah, and like that works for her character. She's like, oh, this is shocking. This is gonna get me, credits.
It won her little eyeball fight in the art class.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty that it's just used as a pawn, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
My favorite quote in the whole movie about that, though, and one of my favorite quotes in the whole movie is, people still hate each other. They just know how to hide it.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah.
I thought it was slightly insightful, especially for the 2000.
I agree.
Because we saw everything that happened afterwards.
Yeah. And also, touching on, there's a not fun piece of trivia, but touching on what Luke was saying too, the Coon Chicken Inn was a real restaurant chain. They had a bunch of locations in Portland, Oregon, of all places. Surprise, surprise.
I'm not.
I know I'm not. And Salt Lake City, Utah was like, those were their two big hits.
I've lived all over this country, and some of the most racist people I've met are in Portland and Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fucking bizarre.
Well, the whole state is.
And in California, too.
California's real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family's from the desert. There's a bunch of neo-Nazis out there.
Yeah.
Like, not that my family's neo-Nazis. I just want to put that on record.
I also think that you guys both made good points, that it's really interesting. Should I talk into it?
Yeah, talking to Mike.
I think that Luke and Taylor both made really strong points, because I feel like bringing up this historical context is super interesting and shouldn't be ignored, but Enid's basically doing for her own self-interest, and that's the part that rubs me the wrong way. Yeah. So it is interesting seeing it, and then also seeing her be a little douchey about it.
Totally. And I kind of like that Enid's doing this because it fits her character to do that. I just like it. The director and the staff, like it's a whole like the crew, the writer, like the people who are doing this movie are all white. So like, it's more like they're not the right people to be telling this story, but it still fits in the story, you know?
Yep.
Speaking of favorite quotes from Seymour, but I can't relate to 99% of humanity.
Yep.
Same. I mean, you know, at least at the time, when I was younger, that was my whole vibe. And Seymour saying it feel like it really rings true to his character.
Oh man, I love Seymour's, like, I wouldn't even call it a date. It's more or less Seymour's one outing of the year, basically. It almost becomes a date for half a second, but his one outing of the year to go see some blues music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that scene so much.
Yeah.
Like more as on the rewatch than I think I did back when I first saw this film.
I love, Enid, like, kind of lassoing someone a little bit, like, oh, you got to meet this guy. He's super cool. He loves blues. And then the second she sits down, he just starts mansplaining music subgenres to her.
Totally.
Like the least sexy
God.
thing you can do on planet Earth. Especially like, just like, yeah, it's like, no, just get past 3 sentences before you start. Well, I don't know if I would call that blues. That's more rock and roll.
It's like ragtime, actually.
Exactly.
And then it jumps right into further cultural appropriation with the rock band.
Yeah,
God.
exactly. Like you have the actual
Stealing the blues.
Hammer. Wow.
Yeah, they're so good.
Wow. Perfect. Really, like that can't be a real band. Like, cause
I don't think so. I think it's
they were for
a
sure
parody.
parodying. Yeah, like
I'm pretty sure it was a parody.
and they're doing a great job.
Around that time, that's when a lot of the bands were doing that. I mean, the rock and roll has always done that since the beginning of rock and roll. But the resurgence of things like Eric Clapton, another white British guy appropriating blues music, he was insanely popular in the 90s. This is normal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh. Also, though, like, and I'm not defending Blues Hammer, but they do fucking rock. But
Shut your fucking mouth.
does Seymour just flat out hate fun too? Because it's like he's got this like woman who is actually, you know, willing to engage him in a discussion about a topic that he's kind of into.
Yeah.
I mean, that he's very into. I mean, she's kind of into. I should rephrase that. And it's just like the fact that she's enjoying something that isn't his exact stream of the broad topic of blues or music or rock and roll or what have you. Like, just learn to let go, Seymour.
Sure.
He can't let go though.
I know.
I think he starts to a little bit. With Dana. He actually does start to like compromise. Wears jeans.
And that makes more sense. Like the whole scene at the blue, like I could totally see both sides there. Like I felt for Seymour in that moment where he was just like, I fucking hate everything about this. Like no one's appreciating the good, like the actual blues musician.
Mm-hmm.
And then I relate with her being like, man, this guy is a fucking bummer. Like,
it was not a good match.
No, but and I can see both sides of the coin as well. Like I've definitely gone to shows where I'm like super excited to actually see the opener. No one gives a shit, and then all of a sudden it's like the headliner comes on, and it's not exactly my taste, and everyone just like finally everyone's standing around with their arms crossed, and all of a sudden it's like all hell breaks loose when, you know, Society Chain stands up and takes the stage. And I'm like, oh, dude, fuck Society Chain. Like, you guys, no. Like, what about, like, these guys were way more talented. Okay, fine. But I never get, like,
Thought you were going to drop a real name there, man.
No, I stalled. I was like, oh, but speaking of Seymour, the birthday scene is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Hurting your lower back
I
by
know.
blowing out your birthday candles. So it's just like,
was there ever a stronger metaphor?
I know.
dude, the moment, and it's just like, it's like, oh, you are like in your 40s, like you know, like you're not on the same wavelength
No,
at all. Like,
does not matter.
it's so
how
clear in that moment.
Doesn't matter how old of a soul Enid is, or how quote unquote mature for her age she is.
Yeah.
It's like no, you guys are two totally different spectrums here.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Seymour Enid relationship?
Yeah. Get into the icky stuff.
Okay. I get it in a way, but like I think they did a really good job. Like Enid's an old soul, but it's so clear watching this movie as an adult. It's like, yeah, sure, you're interested in things that an older generation might be more interested in, but you're clearly not developed in that way. Like you are trying to figure out who you are, that you're at that moment, you know, and like Seymour fucking knows who he is. Like like he is settled into his life, and I can see the appeal of Enid, and like I like their friendship in a way, and I think I was a little bit I just didn't realize how many times, like kind of from the beginning, Seymour was like interested in her romantically.
Yeah, it's pretty, there's no beating around the bush. It's icky for sure. It's definitely, it's icky but realistic. That's one of the only ways I'll defend it, is it is one of those things where because at the end of the day, they're both just looking for someone who will pay attention to them and accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, both of them are just basically like, they become attracted because it's like, oh, you're the one person who's listening to me right now.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like he's like grooming her at all.
No.
But it is like, I don't know. I was like surprised to see like how many times, like, you know, him asking about Josh, like, oh, is that your boyfriend? And like, like her mentioning Josh at the birthday party and him like clearly being bummed out and like all this stuff. It's like, oh, like, cause in my head, the way I remember it, it's like, oh, they're friends, which I kind of like, yeah, there's some ickiness with like being, you know, that old and having like being friends with a kid basically. But like if from the beginning, he was kind of romantically interested in her, and like, even says it, you know, like when she's like, why aren't you interested in me? And he's like, well, I never thought a beautiful young woman like you would be interested in me, a guy like me, you know? Yeah. And it's like, icky Seymour. Like, and he's just, yeah.
I was really surprised that it went as far as it did. Like, I remember the first time I was watching it, it was like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Because I did not read it as going that way.
Oh. No, I was bummed out that they hooked up, but I was also excited for the movie in the sense of like, okay, the movie's like not pulling any punches. They're just going for it. Like, they're like, oh yeah, like, because this is what would happen if just unaccompanied, like, she's not, in defense of the movie, not in defense of Seymour, but in defense of the movie, she's not a minor, but still, it's like an unaccompanied minor hanging out with some 40-year-old dude all the time. And then it's like, you know, when they form a bond and all that fun stuff. So it's like, yeah, of course they end up actually having sex.
Oh yeah. And Enid is I understand where she is at and why she wants to have sex with Seymour and why she is attracted to Seymour. And like, she goes over there and she's the one who's really facilitating this. And like, I don't know, it just makes sense in a way. And then like the immediate aftermath.
Oh yeah.
It's instant cringe. Like fuck. And that was very, very relatable too. It's like, you know that she's like, she instantly has made this huge mistake and he's fucking delusional about it and is just like, oh, do you mean all that stuff about you moving in? And that's where the tides just fucking turn. And it's like, oh, Seymour is like completely delusional.
Yeah. Completely delusional and so stuck in a rut and stuck in his own old ways and whatnot that he like sees her as his last chance kind of in a way. Like it's like, oh, you're my island in this ocean that I've been drowning in forever. It's like, oh, you get me. And not only do you get me, but you're young and beautiful. It's like,
yeah, he really like, he's so sympathetic throughout the film, and then he just like quickly nosedives, like you know, and he's like calling her.
Immediately calls it off with Dana, or has like
that's one of the biggest bummers of the entire movie.
Yeah, that like the first time I watched it, I was trying to understand what was going on, and I didn't realize until later that he was trying to end the relationship with the woman near his age that was actually going well.
Right.
Which is also like one of the biggest bummers too, is like kind of realizing like, did he even like Dana to begin with? Or was this he was fulfilling a need that Enid had, where it's like, I need you to find love and date someone and take care of yourself. And it's like, oh, okay, if I do this, it'll please Enid, regardless of whether or not I want a romantic relationship with someone other than you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think kind of what you were saying with like Enid being his last chance, I think that's what he also thought about Dana. It was like, oh, I guess this is it for me. This is probably all like, you know, it's like, I'm not really happy, but this is it. Like,
guess we're wearing jeans and going to the movies.
Oh my God, that date. The dancing. Woo!
Oh.
So fucking
I
awkward.
also just love the like, can you put down your little treat right now? Can you put down the ice cream and just hang out with me and dance with like we're interacting. This is another person trying to break through the shell and hang out with you.
Hat tip to Dana, the character,
for
putting in the effort.
Yeah, and
she was in it much longer than I thought she would be.
Yeah, you know what? Cheers to Dana.
Cheers to
she
Dana.
got out of that relationship, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
On the bright side, though, Seymour does get choked out with some nunchucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he fucking loses it, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's calling her. I can't believe he would go to Rebecca's house. And, like, Rebecca's clearly like, what the fuck, you know? And I totally get, like, her being pissed at Enid and being like, great, I'm going to sabotage this. Like, oh, you don't know? Like, here's the diary.
Yeah.
Also, just like the delusional insanity of Seymour of like going to a 7-Eleven to beat up like an 18-year-old.
Right.
Where it's like, you took the only thing I've ever loved.
Right.
Stop selling those glizzies and get out here and fight me like a man.
Dude, he's fucking lost it.
Getting choked out with the nunchucks and it's like things are escalating insanely, and then all of a sudden, Doug is like, you know, protecting his home, you know?
Yeah.
An intruder has come. 7-Eleven is his, like, it's his spot. And, like, I love he's choking him out, and then the owner comes out and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And, like, gets a gun and whatnot, and he's like, whoa, man, let's not resort to violence, is his response.
But when Doug, like, defends his territory, it's like you just want to stand up and cheer, be like, yeah, Doug, you go. This is your home.
How about those abs? He's fucking
Those
cut.
abs.
Oh, yeah.
And that tan
Yeah.
line.
Forgot about that.
Amazing.
I wouldn't wear a shirt either.
No.
Be like,
I fucking love coming of age movies.
what was his first line? He was like, give me 2 packs of Reds. I'm working overtime.
Yeah.
Also, like, is he working overtime, or is he just like his lungs are working overtime? Like, he's just gonna.
He's
like,
doing nunchucks in the parking lot.
Exactly,
Fake,
yeah,
fake
it's like-
Metallica music. Yeah.
I got a full schedule here of, I'm gonna swing for 4 hours. We're gonna re-listen to Ride the Lightning. No. Sun's not even half set yet, my guy. No, there's no way two packs of Marbs. What do you guys think about the ending of this movie, too?
Yeah, we haven't even talked about
Yeah.
Marvin?
Norman.
Norman. The
Marvin?
bus
Marvin?
waiter.
Okay.
The guy at the bus?
Yeah, the guy at the bus.
Norman.
Okay. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's just a metaphor
Mhm.
in the film, but
Yeah.
he comes out and says, Enid's telling him there's no bus here anymore. He's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's like the whole message of the movie. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're talking about.
Exactly. Nothing's
Yeah.
set in stone.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Anything
it's
can
like,
change.
yeah, and it brings about the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this ending.
Yep.
I think it's perfect.
What are the pants?
I love the pants.
I don't understand. I couldn't figure out the pants.
The metaphor of the pants.
Yeah.
I think the metaphor of the pants are essentially just...
Remember the pants? The pants on the ground right by Norman. They're always stepping on it as they go by. They're like,
never noticed.
Hey, look at the pants. Then there's the guy.
Yeah. I think the pants are just like kind of hammering in the thing of becoming a mundane staple.
Mm.
No matter how, odd you think you are, like, a pair of pants just randomly on the ground. If you don't make a change, no matter how cool you are and how much manic panic you buy and whatnot, will eventually just become another part of your small town. You will just become a staple because it's like they comment on it like, oh, that's weird. And it's like, that's not weird. Those have been there for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Those pants have always been here. What's weird is you commenting on these pants.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway, is just kind of like, no matter how much you think you stick out, if you don't actually try to do something or make a change, you're just going to be part of the background.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch all the pants scenes now to figure that out.
Yeah, me too.
I wonder if they're actually in some like crucial scenes where she's...
Because it's like in 3 different scenes, and in one of them they don't step on them, and 2 of them they do.
So I just have never noticed this, and that kind of goes
that's
to
all
what
you-
you
that's
were
all you'll see
saying.
now,
Like, they've always been there. Maybe I've just always been a part of Ghost World.
Maybe they were just actually just pants on the set that were stuck to the ground. I don't know.
Maybe.
I would like to think there's more meaning there, but
Also, Enid gets on that bus and she just leaves town.
Yeah.
Where do we think she goes?
Bye-bye.
And that's kind of like, I identified with that part of the story because that's kind of what I did. I fucking left. I was like, got the hell out of wherever I was.
Oh man, I always wanted to leave, and here I am. I'm the Rebecca in this scenario, but like that need to go, like, yeah, I can relate.
It's very real.
I think Enid really needed to go too.
Yes.
That type of character, because whether you've been that person or know that person in your life, like that person will always continue to self-sabotage, make things about themselves or whatnot until they finally just, it's like put aside their ego for 1 second and just move on. Just the minute that they actually have something in life that can make them move on, nothing better than that.
Yeah.
It's their only opportunity to grow, basically.
I mean, that's what we all want for Enid. Like, I don't want her to stay. I don't want her to get an apartment with Rebecca. Like, there's nothing for her here. And like, she's got to get moving.
Yeah. What is she going to do? Manage that movie theater? I don't think so. She can't even upsell popcorn with extra butter.
I'm only telling you this because we're such good friends.
Exactly.
I fucking love her attitude.
Dude, that scene is perfect.
Having worked at movie theaters, I wanted to say that to people so much.
God. No, her customer interaction is just like 10 out of 10.
How to get fired.
Exactly. Her retail skills, it's like a masterclass. Yeah.
After about 5 minutes of this movie, you'll wish you had 10 beers.
Exactly.
Oh, the most desperate looking guy they got to ask for a beer at the movie theater too. Oh man, perfect casting.
Ever since movie theaters actually started selling beer, there was one occasion, I forget what it was, me and my brother went to a family movie event. I think it was this last Christmas. We were watching National Lampoon's on the big screen. And I think it was because all the employees were underage. They couldn't serve beer. And we walk up and I'm like, I need a beer. I'm about to see a movie with my whole family. And they're like, oh no, we're not selling beer today. And it was like my whole world crumbled, even though like movie theaters didn't used to sell beer. I just was like, but I need alcohol to get me through this movie.
The last film I got really drunk in, which probably shouldn't name names, but Chuck was in it.
I mean, with that, you needed to get hammered.
Does Taylor know about that one?
I don't know if you know about this. So yeah, I'll play very coy about this. So
I'll call it out any names so you can say whatever.
Anyway, so there's a local person. I won't even name genders. I'll keep it super vague.
Sure.
Okay.
So there's a local person who does theater in the area. They wrote a script for a film, and they've always been very interested in film. And this was like their first real big attempt at doing something. It was like a feature, basically. They had done a short film before, and this was like a sequel to it, basically. Oh my God, I'm getting way too specific. Anyways, premiered on the big screen. See myself up there. I definitely had to get good and shit hammered. And Luke had to come because Luke was like, oh, there's a local person putting their heart and soul into something that never goes well. I have to see this train wreck.
So we just snuck in the little bottles.
Little airplane bottles. Yeah.
But they when they rendered out, they tried to put movie bars on it. But what they ended up doing was cutting everyone's head off. So like half the movie, all of the movie is like, we're watching, laughing I'm laughing. I never laughed so much in my fucking life. I still think about, this is like a life-changing moment for me.
The problem is, it's like, I'm a tall person. I wasn't the only tall person on set.
No.
So it's like, there's scenes where it's like me and someone having an argument and it's just headless bodies. There are pivotal moments where someone is sitting down and speaking to someone and you have no idea who the fuck they're talking to.
Just see mouths.
Wait, how can I watch this? And is there an edit just like how you've described?
I can send you, this will not be on the Patreon because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I can send you personally the trailer for it because that's all I've ever seen out in the wild.
And I'll put the black bars back on it too because they took them off. So
I was, and also if they are listening, first of all, keep making movies. I'm not trying to shit on you. Yeah. Get better at what you're doing. Like that's how you grow. You just keep doing it. Keep trying. Dust yourself off. But if you are listening, nameless, shapeless person, I never got a copy. I was promised a copy of this movie, and I would love a copy. Also, if you give me a copy, we'll do it for the fucking podcast, and you can be on it. Yeah. You can defend yourself and your art.
There we go.
And tell me how much of a hack and an idiot I am, and how I just don't understand anything, and I should just go, maybe I should just go watch fucking Avatar 3 or something, because clearly I don't understand art. And if they want to come at me, I've made some dog shit. So.
Oh yeah, same. Like, I got nothing to speak on.
I got nothing to hide or prove. Like,
I love your dog shit, Jeff.
Thank you.
So back to Ghost World.
Anyways, yes, that was a vague tirade real quick.
Yeah, that was great.
And hey, you know what? If you want to, maybe the Patreon, we will just be like, oh, and that was, and the name of the movie was, and what the biggest problem with that is when showed up on set. And let me tell you.
I just have like one award going for who won the film. And I think Thora Birch. She was in American Beauty. She did extremely well. Great actor. But she had carried this very, very well. And being a young person, and apparently she was in movies her entire like young life.
Yeah.
So
Monkey Trouble.
I thought of that one.
2 words. That's all I got for Monkey Trouble. And Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus.
And also those 2 words might be wrong now. I'm like, am I confusing her with another little girl? But yeah, Hocus Pocus for sure.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson as well, though.
Yeah,
But
she's
they're both.
I think she was only like
child
15
actors.
or 16 in this movie, too.
Yeah, she was
which is
15.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's acting circles around people who are in their 30s and 40s in this movie. She's
Totally.
fucking amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Thora Birch 100% for me.
Oh, yeah.
She wins this movie. She carries this movie for sure.
I have Steve Buscemi in second place, and honorable mention Doug.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
I was going to say, like, I'm going to give it to Thora Birch for sure, but I would just want to
The standout role.
do it as like an ensemble piece. Like, I want to just take that award and slice it up into itty bits and just give it, give Norman a slice, give Doug a slice, give fucking Coffee Creep a slice. Like, it's just, everyone in this movie is just, everyone understood the homework assignment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, whether you have, like, full scenes as an art teacher or whether you're literally just the guy at the bus who has one line of dialogue. Glad Thora Birch got it. She, like, fought tooth and nail to play. She was originally cast to play Rebecca.
Yeah.
She actually gained 20 pounds.
Wow.
I don't think it's necessary, but it's
No.
but it was one of those things of, like, I guess she was quote unquote, like, like Hollywood pretty. So that's like, oh, you get to play Rebecca. Like, you're a cutie pie kind of thing was, I
Right.
think, why she was being cast that way.
Oh, weird.
And she's like, no, I'm gonna look more like how you're probably envisioning the character.
Sure. I couldn't imagine that role swap.
No, not at all.
Thora not playing Enid.
Yeah, she is Enid.
Yeah.
Like, she was meant to play that role. 100%.
Super, super early days, freaking Christina Ricci, as well as, these ones are weird. Christina Ricci would have been great, but
Yeah.
Claire Danes and also Alicia Silverstone were also considered all to play
I
Enid.
don't see it.
They considered Alicia Silverstone for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
In the
I think
movies.
that's just the time.
Like,
Yeah, sure.
didn't matter what.
Yeah, that would have been a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci is like the 1% I'm like, oh yeah, I
Possibly,
can see that.
Oh, yeah.
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 Also, Nathan Lane was considered to play Seymour.
No,
Should have been fucking weird.
just as creepy.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, just as
Creepy,
creepy,
maybe?
but just kind of, maybe even sadder.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I just sit here with my old jazz records. Hakuna Matata. Like, just like starts like, I feel like he would, it would be so weird. It would be so weird.
I wouldn't be able to take it seriously.
No.
There's no way.
I think it would have been creepier in this weird way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Steve Buscemi, like, it's so
Steve
weird.
Buscemi's likable desperate.
Yeah.
I feel like Nathan Lane would be desperate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The colors in this
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just every shot is an art piece. Like, all, like, the props, the set design, everything is just like so, it's curated so beautifully. You do feel like you're in a comic book. And yeah, I wanted every single outfit Enid wore in that movie. I still do. Her room, everything about her room, I was so envious about. Yeah, I just love it. Her green lips, everything.
Yeah.
Man,
It's
just
gotta
visually stunning movie.
It's got to be so fun to like work on a quote unquote comic book movie just because like you've got not only do you have like the source material, the script there, but you've got your shot list there. You've just got like, so it's like when people, and I'm not a huge comic book movie fan necessarily, but it's like when people fuck them up really badly, it's like, how? You literally had a storyboard, man. Like literally, like this is like, oh, this is the first shot of the movie. It's like apparently we're doing a close up of this like person sweating. Then we're cutting to the window. Then we're doing, it's like you've got it laid out. Yeah, it's like purposely oversaturated to make it look more like a comic book movie.
Yeah, I agree. I like the design of the film very much.
Yeah.
It's also the first comic book movie or graphic novel ever to be nominated for an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Adapted screenplay. Didn't win, though.
No.
But it got nominated.
It must have been fun to be a props person on the set because like there are so many, like the more I watch it, the more I notice these weird little props, and there's so many because Enid and Seymour are both collectors and pack rats, so like you just see so many cool little things. One record in her when Enid does her garage sale, did you notice the Emily record?
No.
I encourage you to go back and
I saw it. I didn't know what it was.
Me neither. I don't know if this thing is real or if someone created this, but it's
Emily,
just
like Emily Strange kind of thing, or no?
No. It's in a weird, obscure record.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's just
like,
was it a tiny
she
face
lifts
on a
it
chain?
up, like she's going through, and Rebecca lifts it up, and it just says Emily in like cursive with an exclamation point, I think, and then it's just like it's purple and then a circle, and it's this woman's face, and she's smiling with these big cheeks and looking up into the sky. It's like really off-putting and like cool, and I want to know what the fuck it is. Anyways, I'm glad you noticed it.
I did. I watched it today again. I was like, what the fuck is that? How have I never seen that? Yeah, it's they like someone's rifling through the records Enid's selling, and just one of the records
That's
gets like a 1 second.
I'm gonna find an image and I'm gonna show it to you after this.
The one I did notice is there's like when she's at the first like garage sale where she encounters Seymour for the first time one-on-one, which also something we didn't touch on. Oh, the mongoose isn't for sale.
Yeah.
Well, they do a callback to it. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Where
great.
she's like, oh no, that's not for sale.
Yeah.
But just on the records really quick, like, yeah, she's flicking through like, a bunch of stupid blues, da-da-da-da. And the first one she actually picks up and looks at, which I don't know if this is a real thing or not, but it's like the R. Crumb like family band, basically. So it's like,
yeah, I remember
like
that too.
Robert Crumb having like a musical act is such a weird concept. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good reference.
Yeah.
Got any other cool stuff, Taylor?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we didn't really touch upon the hospital scene and like the kind of aftermath of Seymour. We kind of talked about his like breaking point,
Right.
what happens, and like, yeah, him ending up in the hospital and Enid going to visit him and like, clearly feeling bad and calling him her hero, which like I have like kind of mixed feelings about, because I'm just like, part of me is like, is she saying that so like the audience can look at Seymour in a better light after he just like fucked this like like I guess she's 18, but like I don't know, it almost seems like it's like, oh, we have to redeem Seymour in the eyes of the audience, and it's like, why? You don't need to.
Yeah. Like, oh no, we gotta fix this.
Yeah, and then like he is like humiliated at the end of this movie, kind of like, yeah, and I don't even know if I even feel bad for him, in this way at all. But like his mom's picking him up from like,
oh yeah, his mom. Oh Jesus.
But from the therapy session.
I was gonna say, I love though that like regardless of whether or not people are still stuck in their ways or like haven't fully changed or completely finished their character arc or anything like that, I do love that you do get like everyone, nothing's wrapped up perfectly and neatly, but you see everyone at least starting to grow, starting to make an attempt. Like,
yeah,
Rebecca's like, she's got her own place, dude. She's maybe slaving away in a coffee shop, but she's fucking killing it, and she's living on her own. She's doing what she wanted to do. Enid finally skips town, which is what she should have done a long time ago. And then fucking Seymour's going to therapy, which like is a huge step. Regardless of whether or not like his mother's giving him a ride, it's still like, oh yeah, no, that guy should have been dealing with some demons for quite some time. So it's a good thing he's letting go. He's talking it out finally with somebody. Holy shit.
Totally.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, and also on the bright side, yeah, like not defending what happened, but maybe he was like, maybe as a character he did have that moment of like, oh, this is my bottom. Like slept with like a girl that is almost underage that I like didn't groom, but you know, it's a very gray area of what's going on there.
Should know
And
better.
tried to assault
Yeah.
a teenager. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this is my bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time
Hopefully
to fix
he
me.
realizes that it was an inappropriate relationship. But,
Exactly.
yeah. I didn't write this down, and maybe you guys saw this in the trivia, but the producers, is that like, those are the people that usually like make the suggestion. Is it the producers? The who makes a suggestion that is never good?
Usually the producers.
studio.
Or like the
Yeah.
The studio.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I am not a movie person
That's
in
okay.
this way. The studio had a really interesting suggestion for the ending of the film, which was to have a double marriage between Rebecca and Josh and Enid and Seymour at the end
What?
of the film. Yeah,
Oh,
that was actually
no.
suggested, like, and of course they didn't go with it because
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? And it's like, wow, these people like did not get this movie at all, and also gross.
Yes. Oh my god. Not in a million years would I come up with that.
We need
Right?
butts and seats. We need romance.
Right?
need a happy
Yeah.
ending.
We need a big happy ending. Of course they get wed. They're two crazy kids in love. And it's like, well, one of them's like 45 and the other one's like maybe 17 and a half. Nah, they're two crazy kids in love. They get wed. It's great.
They can get on the bus after they get married.
Exactly.
Ew.
Yeah. Yuck City.
Wow, I did not know that.
Don't like that at all.
That's bizarre. That's got to be someone in a studio. Yeah. Sweet Jesus, no.
That's like, yeah, someone's assistant told them about the movie they're about to start making for the company. And it's like, oh, yeah, so you're, what is it, like Spirit Earth? Yeah, Spirit Earth. Yeah, it's great. We love it. We read it. It's amazing. You guys are greenlit. It's going to be fun. But what if we change the, yeah.
It's a slightly parodied in Barton Fink.
Yeah.
Is there a kid? There's got to be a kid. There's got to
Exactly.
be a love interest or a dog. Yeah, there's come up all these.
Oh, I fucking love Barton Fink. We should do Barton Fink.
They're definitely doing Coen movies. Yeah, well, let's just go through the Live, Monitor, Kill.
Yeah.
Taylor?
I have to let this movie live.
Chuck?
Oh, this movie lives with bells on. Like, as I said, like, it just gets better exponentially. Every time I see it, I take something new away from it. Every time I see it, too, I get more introspective in myself, where I just am like, oh, now that I am in my, like mid-30s, I'm like, oh, like, oh, really? Like, oh, I was that big of a shitbag when I was like 17. Okay. And then like seeing more of myself in some of the older characters too, who are like people who maybe when I first saw this movie, when I didn't get it, or when I saw it again when I was like 17 or whatever. And it was just like, oh, like look at the fucking creep or the weirdo or the loser. And it's like, man, they're just trying to get by.
Yeah.
Like, even the creepy dude in the wheelchair who, comes in for his cheated trivia coffee, like, man, that guy doesn't have a whole lot happening. Like, let him have his free coffee. Like, we're at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make do.
Yeah. This might blow your minds, but I'm going to let it live too.
Oh,
Hey.
no way.
No, I have deep, profound nostalgic connection to this film.
Me too.
It probably guided my life decisions in some way.
Yeah.
I always get on the bus.
Nice.
Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, to anyone listening, always get on the bus.
Yeah.
Unless you're running away from like real problems. Maybe don't get on the bus if getting on the bus means like ditching your infant child or something like that. Maybe
Sure. Sure.
Good save. Good
yeah,
save.
bring the baby on the bus. But if there's no baby involved, get on the bus.
Yeah, I really love this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I always will.
Same. Yeah. We'll talk about it again in 10 years, and then we'll.
Cool.
And with that, thank you everybody for listening. Please check out our Patreon. There's a post-show discussion. There are a bunch of them on there for money.
Many.
We need money. We need a fourth microphone.
Yeah,
We need to pay for the microphones we already have.
exactly. Can't make a GoFundMe. Those are for when people get hurt.
I feel really so bad putting
Oh, yeah.
a GoFundMe out for when I'm not dying. So
Exactly. No, when I see it, it's
Can't do
It's
that.
also a sick state of affairs when it's just like you can't use something like I feel bad where it's like, oh, why is this celebrity trying to get this passion project funded
Right.
when it's like Jimmy has cancer? Or like we can't bury Helen because as a society we don't have the ability or the money or the just, social wherewithal to we just gotta bury Helen, man. We can't charge people to bury Helen. We just gotta put her in the ground.
And with that, I have been Luke Lones.
I have been Taylor Diffenderfer.
And as always, ruining all the fun, I have been Chuck Starzinski.
And we have been the Nostalgia Killers.
Bye.